But Jesus turned it all around. They had me locked down. Satan thought he had.
Hello, and thank you for joining me today for Real Estate Religion and You. My name is Dr. Sylvia Black, licensed real estate broker with affordable homes and apartments, and I'm licensed to preach and ordained as a minister, and I have my PhD in Sacred Biblical Studies, and I'd like to thank you for joining me today for Real Estate Religion and You. Today I'm going to continue talking about my book, Valley of Dry Bones, Live Again, which is available on barnesandnobles.com, and we're going to get started. Today we're talking about chapter 5, which talks about, except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain. Now Psalms 27 Message Version says, if God doesn't build a house, the builders only build shacks. If God doesn't guard the city, the night watchman might as well nap. Unless it's useless to rise early and go to bed late and work your worried fingers to the bone. Don't you know He enjoys giving rest to those He loves? Don't you see that children are God's best gift? Children are God's best gift. The fruit of the womb is His generous legacy. Like a warrior's fistful of arrows are the children of vigorous youth. Oh, how blessed are you parents with your quivers full of children. Your enemies don't stand a chance against you. You'll sweep them right off your doorstep, and ye shall dwell in the land that I give to your fathers. If you shall be my people, and I will be your God, and I will save you from all uncleanness, and I will call for the corn and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, hearing, doing of His mighty, powerful, and magnanimous word. Now, anything that we do for the Lord, anything that we do without the Lord leading the way, is done with conceit. Without the Lord in your life, there is no foundation to anything you do. The bottom can and very well will fall out, may fall out. Or there may be no bottom at all. Now, doing things without the Lord is done with a proud, haughty attitude. For example, look at this wealth I accumulated, or look at this house I got, and so on. The people of Jerusalem, after witnessing the massacre of the city of most of its inhabitants, were left hopeless, desperate, downhearted, which are all signs that God was not the one building their house. Hopelessness is a sign that God is not present in your life as well. Worrying all the time, being fearful, looking for the world to satisfy your needs is a sign that God is not the one building your house. Not getting enough rest, getting sick and or diseased is a sign that your foundation is faulty, damaged and or defective. Except the Lord build the house, we labor in vain. Okay. When the Lord is at the head of your life, when the Lord is at the head of our life, we reap the rewards of God's promises. The light that shines from heaven above shines through us like the sun, and we illuminate. We stand out from the rest, and our attitude is brightened, our joy is heightened, our body is healthy, our confidence is up. God's favor is upon us. Our efforts are blessed. Our life and the years God promises to give those who love Him are granted. We don't age fast, and so much more are added to our life. All because we give our life over to God and allow Him to be the one to build our house. On the other hand, some people will try to tear your foundation down, the foundation that you spent years building. It's almost as if the more you do good, the more the enemy, your friends and or your family, will come against you and try to keep you from building what God has ordained you to build. I have have people in my family who made the decision to do evil their entire life, most of whom have never set foot in a church, much less picked up a Bible. And years later, when I call to see if they have changed, they have not. Allowing God to build my house means first and foremost that my labor is not in vain. Okay? More importantly, what I realize is that God gives me the strength and the power to walk away. Walk away from situations that are happening, walk away from, when you feel like you want to knock them in the head, I have the strength to walk away. When you feel like you want to do something or say something, to them to get them back for what they said to you, God gives me the strength to walk away. But so many people who have committed heinous crimes made the choice to do what they did. They also had the choice to walk away like I did, which they did not. They serve other gods where there is no strength, there is no protection, there is no victory. They plot and they plan, to do evil, and they don't get away with it because their God is the father of lies. Okay, we all know that. The devil is the father of lies. But God has given me strength in so many situations and circumstances, even today, to be able to walk away, to have the strength to withstand the wiles of the devil. And then when God says it's time to go, then it's time to go. Okay? I made that decision to walk away. I decided that's what I wanted to do, walk away. I didn't want to get involved in the mess and the stuff and the nonsense and the junk. But God has given me the strength in so many situations and circumstances to be able to walk away. I made that decision. I wanted to walk away. I didn't want to do something that was going to get me in trouble. I asked God for the strength to do what was right in His sight. I'm not Wonder Woman, and I'm sure you're not Superman. We're not made of steel. However, you'd be surprised at the strength you have inside of you that God has given us to withstand the wiles of the devil and to walk away rather than to retaliate if you come into agreement with God. Now, we have a right to speak up for ourselves. Just make sure you're using God's words instead of your own words. If I hold my peace and let the Lord fight my battle, I know my victory shall be won. A covenant is a promise that God gives to those who serve Him. Okay, His children. A covenant is also known as a promise. Okay? A contract or an agreement. When God makes a promise to His people, He expects a lot in return from us. If someone makes a promise to me, I expect them to do what they said they're going to do, whether the promises come with conditions or not. You do this for me, and I'll do this for you. But if you break your promise to me, more than likely you're not going to get anything from me ever again. Okay? Same way with God. He makes several promises to His people, and they definitely come with conditions. If you do this, then I'll do this. But if you don't do this, what I command you to do, then I'm not going to do this for you. God also promises us strength and protection. I know that my strength and protection definitely comes from God, because there ain't no way in the world that I would have been able to withstand the wiles of the devil and to be able to walk away unless God had instilled His strength inside of me. But see, I came into agreement with God. I asked God to give me the strength to be able to walk away, because I don't want to be knocking somebody in the head every time you turn around, hitting somebody and whatnot, and then you get in trouble every time you do something wrong. There's other ways to fight our battles, as I talked to you about in one of my other books. Okay, He keeps me strong from day to day to face life's challenges, and I have many, and I'm sure you do as well. If you have read any of my other books, then you'll know some of the challenges that I have faced. And with the help of God, I have overcome them all, and so can you. I still face challenges in life, and so will you. But the results of our service to God will be worth it in the end. Far outweigh the benefits of the benefits of serving God far outweigh the hell and high water that you and I go through from day to day. Growing up, I have witnessed my cousins roaming the streets from those who stole money from them, from those who they have stolen money from. And when they turned around the corner, they got slammed in the head and later died from their injuries. Other cousins, desperate for money, shared needles and rotted away in a hospital bed that they died in. Holidays were just another day to them. They never got any Christmas presents, no Thanksgiving dinner, and the ones that are still alive today haven't changed much from when they were younger. Their needs haven't been met, however, they made the choice, okay, to live the life that they are living. They made the choice, and you got to remember, brothers and sisters, we all have a choice. We have a choice to live the life that we want to live. If you choose, whatever life you choose, if you choose you want to follow behind somebody else's footsteps, that's the life that you've chosen. If you chose that you want to continue to live the lie that has been instilled in you, in other words, somebody did something to you, it caused you to change, and now you might have a same-sex relationship as a result of the abuse that you've been doing. That's a choice that you made, that you allowed that lie to live that lie out. You decided that whether you realize it or not. You know, if you decide to serve God, like I decide to serve God, regardless of the challenges that I face, that's a decision that the person makes. And it starts in your heart and in your mind. You make a decision to yourself. You confess to yourself, this is what I'm going to do. And then you come into agreement with God. You talk to God about it in secret, and then, you work on it. It's a process. Okay? Now, but their needs have never been met. However, like I said, they made the choice of the life that they decided to live. They may have felt that they had no choice, but again, that's the choice that they made. Okay, because we all grew up in the church. Every last one of us, when we were all kids, we all went to church. Then as they got older, they wandered away from the church. But originally we all went to church on Sunday. That's what brought the family together. We got together on Sunday and we had Sunday dinner, and then we all got together and everything like that. Okay, but they chose to serve the devil, not consciously, I don't suppose, but indirectly for some. But the life that they live is a depiction of their decisions. I chose to serve God, okay? A lot of them are dead now, either from getting shot, having their house set on fire, and then being trapped inside and not being able to get out, and then they burned alive right inside their apartment. Or some at a young age spent the better part of their life in jail, or in a crazy home, or as mental institution, I should say, and nothing else, and know nothing else but how to steal, kill, and destroy, just like their master. Okay, now they have had no formal education, no formal skills, and some of them have no high school diploma and can't read. My sister died a horrible death. Her body withered away little by little in the hospital bed that she died in. She was an alcoholic her early part of her adult life, and she did heavy drugs in her younger years and did evil in the sight of God. She didn't want to work. She wanted that fast money. But she never got the fast money. She had to settle for that monthly check. She lost the ability to use her own body to take care of herself and died ultimately in a nursing home. It saddens me a lot, that she died that way, because I had always imagined that we would be close, She turned out she would sing in nightclubs and stuff. Me, I was singing in church, but she never stepped foot in a church, and she never read the Bible. But she plotted evil, and she went along. But I think her mistake was going along with others who were plotting evil, following the footsteps of others, which ultimately led to her demise, her early demise. And she was only 4 years younger than me. Okay? Excuse me. My mother was a drug addict, a lesbian, and a lover of money. She was a jailbird and did not care who she hurt to get what she wanted, even her own children. She died from a tumor in her brain that slowly took her out. She went to church, but she plotted evil in the midst of God's house. She used God's house to do her evil. Evil ran rampant in my family, honey. I spent the first 4 years of my life with my mother's ex-husband and his new wife. while my mother served her time in jail for the crimes she committed, including child neglect. Those were the most formative years of my life, and I thank God for them. Those years of love, protection, and family helped to be a formative portion of my life and helped me not to become a murderer or a drug addict or to conform to the sin and the evil that my family was involved in. And I thank God for that. Although they were taken away from me, though that love and that protection, it stayed with me. Okay, and I continued to serve God, okay, consciously. I think 16 is when I got saved in the church. I didn't study the Bible that much, but I always went to church and I loved God. And then it was much later in life when I actually started, because when I started writing my books, and I was forced to study the Bible. I wanted to study the Bible because I wanted to know what the Bible had to say about my situations. Why did I have to suffer? What was the suffering all about? What did it mean? Where was it going to lead? What was the message behind it? And so I began searching the Bible, and I found so much information in the Bible that I write books. Okay, and this is one of them, Valley of Dry Bones, Live Again. Available on BarnesandNobles.com, Lulu.com, and Amazon Kindle.com. Not Barnes & Noble's an ebook. Okay, those years, like I said, they were formative years of mine. And at 4, I had to go back and live with my biological mother, who remained a stranger until the day she died. My life growing up was a living hell on wheels, because I refused to conform to their evil. And my mother, unfortunately, was the orchestrator of the conspiracy to commit evil, and others followed in her footsteps and believed her lies, just like a lot of people today believe the devil's lies. Unlike me, I didn't even want to be with her because I didn't know her. I wanted to be her daughter, not her lover. I wrote a book called My Mother Was My First Love on BarnesandNobles.com, and you should get a copy of that. That's an autobiography of my life. But this book here that I write today, Valley of Dry Bones, Live Again, is sort of like a sequel to that book in a way, because it's just a sequel. I'll explain it later. But my mother was always a stranger to me, and I never compared myself with her. My Aunt Nana, however, who was my grand-aunt, my grandmother's sister, prayed over my soul and my body, and I had the help from strangers, which she did not know about, which my mother didn't know about. I remember telling my mother one day, I don't hate you. I never really hated you like you hate me. I just wanted to be your daughter, but I never wanted to be your lover. Okay? Now you may wonder, how did I survive such trauma and such abuse without being conformed to their ways? Now I had to do what I was told, don't get me wrong. When you're younger, you got to do as you're told. If they tell you, you got to lay there and, I didn't do it, so yeah, I was taking drugs at a young age, you know what I mean? They would either give me a drink of Rohypnol or give me a shot of something in my arm that would knock me out, or a pill, because she used to pop pills a lot and then go to sleep, you know what I mean, or make me sniff some heroin, so that I would be complacent, because I never agreed to do any of the evil that she was involved in. That was her life. That's the life she wanted to live. Why can't you let me live the life I want to live? Why can't you just let me be your daughter? Why do you have to force me to do what you want me to do? But hurting people hurt people. That's the bottom line to that. Okay, I know this is going to be several parts. I'm not sure how many. 2, 3, maybe even 4. Okay, but my answer to you is how I survived such trauma and such abuse without conforming to it or becoming what they tried to turn me into. But God, baby. But God. I had come into agreement with God a long time ago that I was never going to be like her. I was never going to believe any of her lies. And I was always going to love the Lord, and I was going to grow in His love. And I came into agreement with Him a long time ago, and He's been with me ever since, every step of the way. And then my Aunt Nana prayed over my soul and my body, and I can remember literally when the devil actually came up out of my soul. It was like she had performed an exorcist on me. She had laid her hand on my head at night, and I was tossing and turning, honey, and the devil thought he had control. He was speaking through my voice, telling her stuff, and she wasn't scared of the devil. And she slapped her hand back on my head, honey, and I was tossing and turning. And the devil came up out of my spirit, and my body was so calm and relaxed. I slept a couple of hours and it was like I slept all night. Okay, I remember that day. See, you need help in both aspects. You got to have the help of prayer. You know, the prayers of the righteous availeth much. You know, it was a combination of the 4 years of formative training that I had the first 4 years of my life, and then it was also a combination of my Aunt Nana being in touch with her. Because I remember I used to ask her, she would talk about God, and I was like, who is this God? You know, how come, where is he when I need him? And I remember hearing his voice, I'm right here. Woo! I remember that. This is plain as if it was yesterday. But the last time I visited my sister in the hospital, she was paralyzed from the neck down. She didn't get into an accident. It was the body. And they couldn't believe that I was her. They said, oh, you her daughter? I said, no, I'm her sister. I'm 4 years younger than her. And I told them, I said, before I left that hospital, I said, if you serve God, this what you see right here, I'm all about God. I'm a representation of him. Okay, he allowed everything that you see here to be possible. But if you serve the devil, then that could very well be you. And I told them that, you know. Although I miss my sister, I didn't want her, I was like, I didn't really know she was into all of that. You know, and they wanted to deny that they really didn't know about her. You know, they didn't know that she had, was an alcoholic. She used to drink heavily. She could control her liquor. She would be sitting up in the chair. And I could see there was a difference in her stamina, though. I knew the difference. I just didn't know what it was that was controlling her. But, you know, the hospital personnel asked me, they said, hey. And I told them, I said, if you serve God, that won't happen to you. I said, I'm sorry that it happened. And I stood by her bed and I sang to her and everything like that, because she was getting not chemotherapy, for diabetes or whatever. She was getting some blood transfusion, she was getting that. And she was in a lot of pain and you could see her body shaking and she was breathing heavy and stuff. And it was just a terrible sight to see, but that was the last time I saw her. I had to visit her. I'm up here, she's still in Staten Island and I had to see her. And then at her funeral, she had her body cremated and I wasn't going to see her again, so I didn't even bother to go. It was a sad experience, it was. But nevertheless, I miss her, but I wouldn't trade places with her. Not with her or my mother. Okay? Because I love God and my salvation is more important than anything else in this world. But the persecution that I endured did not take me out of here, and I thank God for that. It did not ruin me because I had a made-up mind that no matter what I was going through, what I would go through, that I was going to serve God. I was going to serve him, and I was going to, just be in his will. And I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it for the love and the protection. I was doing it because, and I say, yet they slay me. Yet will I serve him. And I'll tell you some more about my family in terms of what else helped me to make my decision. Okay, in my heart, like I said, I'm going to be closing in a few. In my heart, I had chose to serve God. I was determined that even though they may have been able, my family may have been able to make me do what they wanted me to do, they were not going to turn me into what they had become. I had already made up that decision, and it was a decision that I made. I didn't need nobody else to help me make that decision, and I didn't have to confess it to nobody. I made that decision. And that's something that you can control. People don't realize that, but I'm telling you that you can. If you give it a try, you'll find out that you can. Okay? And I was determined that even though, like I said, okay, God gave me the strength and the ability again to walk away from that too. The life for me was not easy, baby. It was no crystal stair, as it said in Langston Hughes' poem. Life for me was no crystal stair, honey. Okay, it was not peaches and cream. Okay, where my decision was. Okay, my decision. Life for me. Okay, but I was determined to serve God because I was not going to end up like them. My decision to serve God was partly related to me witnessing the destruction of so many lives of my blood-related relatives, how they lived their lives, what it did to them. They had no joy, and they were always miserable. They were angry, unhappy, greedy, and they aged way before their time. Some died before their time, a miserable, horrible death, which took them out slowly. And I knew I didn't want to go out like that. I don't call them family because family is who you love and who loves you. They couldn't understand why they couldn't destroy and get rid of me no matter how hard they tried. They thought they had the power over life and death. But God allowed me to outlive them all, most of them anyway. The rest of them are still dying slowly and they have conditions that are going to take them out. When I went to my mother's funeral, it was like the night of the living dead. Because I didn't recognize half of them and they were shocked at me. They asked me, how old is you, Sylvia? You know, and it's like, what? I hadn't aged since for years. This is God, baby. This is God. Okay, I'm telling you, this is why I'm telling you this story. I'm not emphasizing the persecution. I'm emphasizing the coming out. Okay, the how I got over portion. And how you can get over too. They couldn't understand. God allowed me to outlive most of them, and I'm still here. And I'm still here by the grace of God. My life has not been easy, and I thank God I don't look like what I've been through. Okay, my friends and my family were my worst enemy. The difference between me and them is that my mother worked and had something to show for her years. So that means that my needs were provided for. That didn't mean that what she did was okay. But it did mean that my needs were supplied and I didn't have to beg, borrow, or steal. And I would always be able to work and get my own. Okay, so I'm going to conclude with, I'm going to read this last paragraph. But God protects me from hurt. He protects me from, protects all of us from hurt, harm, and danger, and keeps us safe. God's grace and mercy allows us to escape the enemy's grasp unharmed and unmarked. Okay, I have had many instances where I have needed God's protection and His strength to make it from day to day, from hour to hour, much less day to day. And He was right there leading the way and dispatching heaven's armies to protect and strengthen me. Well, I'm going to conclude with that, and I'm going to ask you to join me next week. We're going to be talking about part 2 with, unless the Lord build a house, you labor in vain, baby. And I'm telling you this, it's called From Valley of Dry Bones, Live Again. My other book is My Mother Was My First Love, and that's available on barnesandnobles.com. That God has blessed me with a publisher for that book, so that book is going to be published, but you can still get a copy of it right now on barnesandnobles.com or lulu.com or amazonkindle.com. And you can go to my YouTube channel at sblack3001, and that's where you can find the exact address that you can click on. Okay, you look for the title of the book. I have a promotion for My Mother Was My First Love. I just have one video, but after this book, I'm going to talk about that book in more in depth. Okay, because I'm going to be traveling and talking about it, or so I'm going to have to be able to talk about it without shedding any tears, But I want to thank you for joining me today. But it's really the message that I'm getting across to you. How God works, understanding the mind of God, serving God through the thick and the thin, and knowing that the storm was ordained by God. Okay, because He's in the midst of the storm right there with you. He's the one that's keeping you from being taken away with the storm. Okay, so my name is Dr. Sylvia Black. I'm going to ask you to holler at a sister. Peace out. Amen. Peace out.
They have me locked down. Say it had me bound to the ground. They had me locked down. But Jesus turned it all around. They had me locked down. Satan thought he had me bound. They had me locked down. But Jesus turned